Hello and welcome to another episode of On the Floor with Wayne and Rob. I'm Wayne Highlander, National Sales Manager for Bona Adhesives.
And I'm Rob Johnson from Bona Training. And guess what this is, Wayne?
This is part two of the 100 episode podcast.
It feels like 100 years.
Yes, we can drag this.
This is episode 101.
Yes.
That's what this is.
There you go.
The
Actually,
101st.
This is the 101st episode. There you go.
101, baby.
All right, we'll start it out. So, again, this is questions from listeners that are Eileen.
I want to go back to the last show, though. You said something I need to clarify. You said you couldn't afford Ritz crackers, so you had to eat saltines.
Yeah.
I'm a saltine man.
Really?
Yes. Pauline's a Ritz. I'm a saltine. We have both crackers. And all of my grandsons, all saltines.
Okay. Here's my thought process about that. It's the same reason I don't like shaggy or shabby chic furniture. Okay, that's for yuppies who never were poor and had shabby chic crap growing up. If you grew up and your walls are like the finish is coming through the tables and the paint is kind of wore off the walls, you don't grow up and buy that kind of crap. I don't eat saltine crackers because that's like eating pinto bean soup. I'm not eating pinto bean soup and crackers ever again. If you grow up on that crap, you ain't going back to that crap when you grow up.
Okay.
So, Ritz crackers, man, because everything tastes good on a Ritz.
I tell you though, I'm a saltine guy. There's nothing better than sardines and saltines. Nothing. That's a good lunch.
I can't go to those crackers, man. In fact, I see those crackers, I get depressed.
You can't. You can't do the sardines either because that was a staple when you were a kid.
I can do the sardines, but now I put them on the uppity crackers. You know, the upscale, the Ritz crackers.
Okay, so that's it for you. It's a class thing. You think
Absolutely.
Ritz are just more classy than a saltine?
Yes. When I eat them, I know that I've made it. Like I said, you see shabby chic furniture. I got a cousin whose whole house is shabby chic. I think she's a millionaire. I walk in there, I see nothing but problems. I'm not into it, man. Not in the slightest. Okay,
the saltines are the same thing. That's the shabby chic of cracker.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely right.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, this is part two of our 100 episode podcast, and this is questions from our listeners that we're going to answer the question. Again, we can't get to all of them, but we'll get
thousands and thousands of submittals.
Yes, we'll get to just as many as we can. But again, I just want to remind our listeners, if you sent in a question, whether we read it or not, Eileen, our marketing department, is going to send you the prize package, but it's going to take about 4 to 6 weeks before you get it. Maybe sooner, I don't know. But so we're thrilled to death that you sent in so many questions, and thank you very much. And
maybe for the guy from Australia, it might be a little bit more than 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, the guy in Australia is probably going to take a little bit longer.
Yeah. Why don't you? We'll give it to you when you come over here.
There you go. Don't threaten him with a good time.
No, I'm only kidding you. Eileen will send it out.
Okay. Where are we at here? Let's go to Through the Woods. Chris Kritzer from Tampa, Florida. Through the Woods. Nice name, great name of a flooring company.
Through the Woods.
Things outside of wood floors that help with floors. Books, classes, exercises. Where is the industry heading?
Yes.
I do think it's very interesting when trades cross over. I'm always had one eye on a job on the guys doing the cabinets, the finish carpenter. I always had one eye on him, and I always had one eye on the painter. I walked into a lot of walls. But I want to. It becomes very interesting to me when trades cross over. You know, we pick up things from the painting industry. We pick up things from the carpentry industry. So there are a lot of good books out there. The NWFA, I'll tell you what, they've done a great job with the problems, causes, and cures, and the different species. The book on the different species. There's a lot of great carpentry books out there. So much stuff on YouTube, man. I'm big into marquetry. That's a hobby of mine, and I love it. Um, that can be brought into the hardwood floor industry as well. Certainly, Gene Kloss from Renaissance Floors. If you've not seen his work, he left this world too early. He was the greatest master that's ever been in this industry. Renaissance floor inlays. You can see some of his work. I'll tell you what, the guy who won so many floor of the years that he quit entering to make it fair to everybody else. It's not an
Wow.
exaggeration. I mean, no one could touch his work. I mean, the guy was unbelievable. So yeah, those things are interesting to me. And
Well, not just because I'm in training, but man, I mean, think about you when you and I were doing this full time, how much training there was compared to how much training there is now. So, and it just seems like the industry is, going full steam ahead for more and more training. It's just incredible the feedback that we're getting on our trainings and the waiting lists now that we've been putting together for trainings is just insane.
yeah.
So with the lack of a labor force out there, training is definitely where this is heading.
One of the things he asked about was exercising. Um, me and Rob and I rather did a podcast on taking care of your body. But there you go. Look at them guns. In
Yeah,
all seriousness, I'll tell you what. I can't call it a regret. My wife goes to yoga, and the the amount of stretching she can do is I can't even get anywhere near that. I wished I got a bad knee, so I can't stretch that knee. It's never going to happen again. But I'll tell you what, man, it's no joke. Stretching, yoga, even those type of things to take care of your body is more important now. We live longer. Our careers are longer than they were in the past. Um, I really think that taking care of your body is something that don't take it for granted because Rob and I and a lot of old floor guys will tell you that you're bulletproof until you're not. And so absolutely take care of your body and do the stretching and exercising, man. I I don't have any regrets. I Because what's the point? Um, but to do over again, that's one thing that I would have spent more time doing. Take care of your ears. My biggest regret, as far as that goes, is my hearing. When I'm in a crowded room, I can't hear other people talk. I just hear a bunch of noise. Um, where's the industry heading? It's getting better and better, man. If you're a young guy, I'm jealous of these young guys, man, of what the opportunities are, Rob. I mean, with the equipment that's out there now, the amount of money these guys can make, the social media, the way you can share your work and learn from each other. The trade is still going to be strong, and I think it's in a healthy place. You can almost Guys are at the point they can almost call their shots now on what they're charging. So, Rob, your
I think
thoughts?
definitely the industry is heading towards quality too. Where maybe back when you and I were doing a lot of it full time, it was. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was quality, but it was a lot of quantity too. And I'm seeing more and more guys who are really striving for that quality type floor, and you know, basing their reputation on their quality. I think we're seeing a lot more of that than we did in the past. So I think that's another place that it's heading.
I think back in the day there was a handful of guys that were like superstars, right? And then
Yes,
there was a big drop off to the next level.
that's
And
funny when you said that because I thought of three guys right at the top of my head,
thank you.
and the rest of us were just grinding it out. You know.
Yep. There were like a handful of superstars, and then there was like a big drop off to everybody else. And now there's a lot of guys on close to that level. I still think
Yes.
some of the guys were still timeless. I mean, their work would hold up in any era. But
Hmm.
there's a lot of guys now that are really 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 at that top level. So yeah, good stuff, man. All right. So, um, Epic Hardwood Floors, Jorge Perez. Well, there you go. That's a that's a damn good floor man right there. What's with all? Oh, what's with all the smack talk about Bona? Why so much hate?
Oh, the haters. New York Yankees, New England Patriots, Dallas Cowboys, top of the game. And they were probably some of the most hated teams out there. And I think that's what you get with Bona. We're at the top of our game. I know we're not braggers, but some the industry leader, some people are just going to resent it, I think.
The lion does not care about the opinions of the sheep.
If I was ever going to have a tattoo, that could be one of the top three choices. I remember the first time you said that, and I think you said it to me. You know what I mean? I think you were digging me about something. It was a
Yeah,
dig. I had said, and I was like, "That is a beauty. I love that saying. That's a
yeah.
great."
Hey,
And maybe in the past, maybe Bona did have a little bit of attitude, but look at what they've done. They hired you and I. I mean, I don't know if it was a PR stunt or they did it for real, but you
no.
don't get any more down to earth than you and I. I think.
You look across the room. I mean, we that's the thing. We just go about our business. We really respect our competitors. Don't we just do our thing? Everybody else does their own thing. I look across the room and I look at the caliber of the guys we have, the integrity and just a good bunch of guys. So yeah, we don't worry about. We just do our thing. Davidson Wood Floors, Lori Davidson, down there in Georgia, man. Good guy, good floor guy. I would like to hear you guys discuss the current situation with materials and flooring being in short supply. So many rumors and not a lot of fact. Love the show. Thank you, Lori, very much. It's an honor that you listen to it. Well, Rob, you want to talk about the state of the industry?
I don't know which I hear. Well, for the longest time doing trainings, and even when I was in, working the sport with the sport team, it was always labor. I think labor has definitely been one of the absolute number one issues in our industry. But lately, probably in the last 6 or 8 months, the rumblings I'm hearing at the training is the wood shortage, and it's just crazy what I'm hearing because you hear some people have wood, some people don't. It's whether it's a regional thing or not a regional thing. So um, yeah, I don't know what the myth is. You might know a little bit more. You're more geared towards installations, so
Well, I mean, it's a global thing, and it's not just in our industry. It's across the board. I remember when this pandemic first hit. I went into Bass Pro Shops, and everything was gone. And there was nothing on the shelves. Partly because guys are fishing now; there's nothing else to do, but partly because they can't get stuff. And now our industry now is competing with every other industry out there from containers in Europe coming over here, outbidding each other to get the containers. So we've been in good shape. I mean, Bona's been in pretty good shape. We're very fortunate that we haven't really had any supply issues, but it's affecting everybody. And of course, when that happens, I mean, prices are going to go up on materials. That wood flooring prices have gone up. I mean, it's hard to find certain products. There's going to be longer delays. I believe it's going to last throughout close to the end of the year before it gets straightened out. The world can't come to an end pretty much. It's almost to a grinding halt, and then just start back up and not having any repercussions. So it's a glitch in the industry right now. It'll get straightened out, but the upside is there's a lot of work. Guys are working. It hasn't killed the trade, so I take that as what it could be a whole lot worse. Look at a lot of other industries got hurt worse than ours. So yep, it's business in 2021 get straightened out.
I mean, you're definitely glad you're not in the restaurant business.
Yeah.
You look at what the restaurants what's happened in New York City with restaurants and everything, they said probably 40% of the restaurants in New York City will not reopen. So, like you said, for us, it's been a glitch, but you're always going to need to harvest trees, and it's just a matter of time before supply chain catches back up.
So this at Home Depot, guy sent me this text message from Home Depot. The following products have been limited purchase quantities until further notice. And then it mentions all kinds of different products. And then another sign, due to industry-wide inventory limitations, we are unable to replenish this product at normal levels. So it's every industry across the board. So, I mean, you're bidding job, and I tell you, if you're bidding jobs and these jobs are 6 months out or whatever, I'd be very careful giving them a price on what the material is because they're fluctuating all over the place. So just be aware.
You know what? That's a great point. It's funny because Bum and I, before I came down to Philly, I stopped over his house. We needed to pick something up, and that was something that him and I had talked about because I said, "He's man, I got a ton of estimates." I said, "Boy, you can't really quote out any lumber prices right now because you know you don't know where you're at." He's on the list for covering himself for jobs that he had coming up from the past, but it's his future work that's what he's going to start doing is just saying, here's the issue. Here's going to be what the labor price is and everything. The wood will just have to catch up once we can get it.
Well, I mean, look at the prices of home. The framing package from your average 3-bedroom home or whatever has gone up like $30,000 or more just for the framing members. You know what I mean? So it's a thing everywhere. Not only, but the other thing too is the price is going up one thing, but you may not be able to get the material. So you really want to, take that into consideration. So again, we'll get past it. It's a glitch, but I do think it's going to take close to a year. I mean, the rest of this year before it kind of evens itself out. So we've been very fortunate. So knock on wood, Rob. Thank you, Lori, for asking that question. Hunter, there's no name here, just an email. Hunter Dolunch. Sorry, maybe it's an email address. It's not worded out right. Plans for Bona in the future. What new ideas are they working on? Rob, should we just give it away right now and both get fired?
Oh man, listen, it's something that I haven't seen in a long time, and I think Bona is really on the right track for bringing back the strip mall carnivals. I'm looking forward to it. I'm not sure what I'll be doing, but like I said, that strip mall carnivals that we saw when we were kids, I know some people at Bona are thinking that's kind of a big deal. It's a big shot, but I think they got a winner.
I was traumatized at a carnival in England.
I'm so glad that I brought it up.
But,
so was it a freak show or?
No, it was a gypsy girl and a donkey. And I was teasing the donkey, and she wasn't too happy about it. So she said, "Don't do it again." And I did it again. She chased me for a block and a half before she tackled me. Took her cigarette out of her hand, put it up to my nose, and said, "Oi, how would you like to stuff this fag up your nose?" And I had previously been beaten up by another girl, several months before that. So, I apologized and, said it would never happen again.
Looking back at your childhood and what you've accomplished, I'm telling you, it's a pleasure to even know you.
I think it would be.
I mean, I'm just shocked you're not in the loony bin. But man, look at what you've become. Good for you.
Absolutely.
Way to overcome all that stuff. Absolutely.
Hard knocks, brother. All right. So,
and I don't think I've ever met a guy beat up by more girls in my life. You've had more than 3 or 4 stories of beatings from girls. So
yeah. Well, you learn. Okay, Anthony DePrima from Middlesex, New Jersey. What type of wood and finishes were your favorite and least favorite to work with, and why? I'll go first on this. Um, I've said before. I'll go quick on this. Bona polyurethane has flat out never let me down. Never, not one time. Never let me down. That's one thing. Two, I can drive to the job right now. I could get in my car and drive across country to the job that I first used traffic on. It was a maple floor, tough layout. I've talked about it before, so I won't go too much into it. But that absolutely positively blew my mind. That was a game changer. Another question was, who are the biggest influences on your career? If you talk about like a game changer moment in my career, I am not making this up. I worked for the two Greek brothers. Very difficult layout, hot, terrible conditions. I put traffic on for the first time. That didn't get me. The day I came back and looked at it was what got me. It blew my mind. And so traffic HD now. Um, my favorite floor is an easy one. I have been in love with white oak courtesan my whole career. It is the sexiest looking floor out there. Walnut has snuck up to number two for me if it's stained. I don't like walnut if it's not stained. Silver's out over time. I like a walnut with a stain on it. But love white oak courtesan.
All right. Favorite finishes, least favorite finishes. Lacquer only just because of just getting goofy with my dad and stuff with lacquer. Just a fun kind of thing. I mean, dangerous as hell, and it killed my great grandfather and everything. So I can't call it my favorite finish. It has to be just water based, especially where the guy who taught me how to pull the T-bar invented the T-bar. I go back that far. So for the longest time, we never worried about dry times. We never worried about all that stuff that's buffing in between coats and braiding, and so water base has definitely been my favorite products to work with over the years. Any water base. Least favorite is the moisture cure. Just moisture cure. The wrong time of year could have been one of the most finicky products you ever work with, and just the protection, even wearing the charcoal filter mask and everything, moisture cure was still it made you sick. So that would definitely be one of my least favorite finishes to work with. Absolutely my least favorite finish to work with.
I 100% will agree with that. I thought it was a road we might go down for a while, but it was very short lived for us, man. The other thing, my least favorite wood to work with is Douglas fir. Every time I did a Douglas fir floor, I swore it would be my last. I get no satisfaction from them. I don't like nothing about them, and so there you go.
There's a ton of Douglas fir floors up in the Albany area, and we got into tons of them. And when we were using poly, they just never looked. When you got done coating it, it was like, geez, with poly, just never really popped. And I will never forget the day we decided to go with water base on those floors, and it just changed the game on Douglas fir floors. They all look so good when we went to the water base and got away from the poly.
Okay. So I'm going to go through some of these real quick because they were answered on different podcasts we did in the past, so we won't repeat them. But Samuel Friedis from Trumbull, Connecticut, thank you for asking. He says, we need both of you in Connecticut to give us some info about Bona sealers. Thanks. We did an episode on Bona sealers, didn't we?
Yes.
I think we did.
Yeah.
So I won't hit that one. Thank you, though, for asking the question. Definitely we did an episode on that in the past. Another guy.
Well, you know what? Let's back up. I can answer that a little bit better. Coming to Connecticut to do some sealers. We have put together at Bona Training 1-day classes, and we're going to start bringing them out. I mean, now that travel restrictions and everything are starting to lift, one of the things that we've realized is colors is really huge now. So what we've put together are 1 day sessions that we're going to be holding at distribution, throughout the country, and definitely we'll try to get a couple in Connecticut because we got some great distribution in there. And what it's going to be is kind of a first half of the day, just going over the sealers and the glaze and tints and trans tint, things like that. And then the second half of the day, going to be going over the power scrubber, deep cleaning, the recoat systems, and everything. Just kind of so definitely look out. Watch your distribution, and we'll definitely be coming to Connecticut sometime this year.
I didn't know that. I'm excited about that, man. I would love to get out to one of those, Rob. Maybe I can, but that would be a pretty sweet class.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. We think
Yeah.
we can have a lot of fun. That's I sent I sent this out to the TMs again, and I said it's time that we all get back on the road and start having fun again. And that's what these classes are. They're very informative, but it's just going to be great to get back out, see everybody again, and just get back to having some fun and learning stuff.
Well, you bring so much experience from the sport industry that will cross over into this very nicely. I mean, you look at all those glazed floors on sports, what you guys are doing. You can do. That would be a great class.
Yeah, it's going to be great. We're looking forward to it.
CT Painting and Hardwood Refinishing asked about equipment maintenance, frequency, and importance. I'm not going to go back and watch that episode with Mike Rocher. He is a mechanic in this industry that's renowned. He's been in the industry probably 40 years or more. We did a podcast with him. So it's a podcast with Mike Rocher. Really good on equipment.
Great on equipment and maintenance, and he really got in depth on how to maintain different pieces, how often to do it, and everything. So, yeah, that's definitely a great question, but a great podcast to go back and listen to.
Yeah. Derek Sweigel from Habitat Hardwood Floors from Panama City Beach. Thank you, Derek. How about an episode with the new guy? Not only funny stories about hiring the new guy and all the crap we gave them, but practical things we can do as business owners and crew leaders to successfully find and keep quality help.
Number one issue, man.
Yeah.
Number one issue.
We've talked about that in the past, and it comes up frequently on this podcast because, obviously it's a challenge in this industry. But you know what? We will maybe hit that in depth on a podcast. We'll bring in people that have can add something to that as well. So I think that's the way we'll handle that. Thank you for the question. There we go. All the way down in Panama City, Florida.
Let's write that one down. You're right. You know what? That wouldn't be a really good episode.
Yeah. I hope he's going to the NWFA convention in July. I think July 7th through the 9th, everybody, down in Florida this year. Eco Wood Floors. Didn't leave a name. Next level tips for perfect floors all the time. We touched a lot on that. I feel like we'll do some.
You're going to go back a couple of episodes, and listen to us play War.
That one, and also we did one on the perfect finish.
Yep,
all the different things you can do for a perfect finish. So we touched on that.
Final coat War, absolutely.
Yeah, good call. Matt Barnes from Woodpecker Floor Refinishing out of Pittsburgh, PA. Identifying different species and grades of flooring. Okay, tell you what we're going to do with that one. First of all, the NWFA has a great book on it. Okay, number one. Number two,
that wood species book is amazing.
It's a great book.
It's an awesome book, and I don't know if the new book had it, but I remember the old book. It also showed the species coated, not coated, but coated with oil, and what it looked like with oil and what it looked like with water.
Absolutely.
I don't know if the new book still looks that way, but it showed all three looks. So yeah, NWFA guide was a real good one. I still have
That's a
mine.
good. That's a good one. And I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll have Howard Brickman back on. Howard Brickman is a genius. I mean, that man is unbelievably smart. We've had him on here talking about a couple different things. He goes so in depth. What episode did we have him on?
We never
Acclimate.
finish. We
Acclimate.
never
Well, he
finish.
says,
And I know when we're having Howard on, I'll have like 10 questions I want to ask him, and
yeah,
you can only get two.
Howard Brickman
And
is gold.
he's just, yeah. Oh, yeah. He's gold.
Yeah,
He's a nugget.
yeah. So we'll have him on, and we'll go in more in depth on that. But thanks for asking. It's a great question. $1 million question. If you went back in time, would you do it again? I mean, working in the flooring industry, or would you choose a different path?
You want to go?
Yeah, I'll go. I love the flooring industry and always have. I mean, I was hooked from the beginning. But if I was looking back, you know, I don't have any regrets. There's nothing I would do differently. I mean, I couldn't have. But what I would tell a younger guy is, man, get as much education as you can go to every school you can go to. Learn as much as you can. Go to the inspector school, even if you don't have no desire to be I'll tell you what, I could build the perfect floor man. I really could. Anybody could. You look at all the classes that are available right now to a young kid. If you take an 18-year-old kid or 20-year-old kid, it's almost like going to college. Put them around a school when Lenny Hall's doing the instructing. Put them at a bonus school and watch fourth generation Rob Johnson teach him what he knows about finishes. Go to the why am I struggling with this? The
Come on, baby. You can do it.
Go to the
Come
inspector
on.
school. The inspector
There you
school was one of the best schools I've ever been to by a landslide. Okay, go to those schools. Go to a stair school to learn how to do stairs. I mean, you could make a ton of money in this trade now, man. I mean, it is set up. Everything is set up for a young kid doing floors today. So get with a good company. Look at Josh
Yeah, but
Hansen the other day.
you still haven't answered the question.
Would I do it again? Yeah, I mean, it's a long answer, I guess, but yeah, I would. I wish listen, I got here, but I got here the freaking hard way, man. You know what I mean? This is not the recipe to get here. I've worked months and months and months without a day off.
My Uncle Fred used to call it the College of Hard Knocks.
Yeah, it is, man. And so I would do it again in a heartbeat, but there's an easier way to get here today than in the past. But yeah, I do it again in a heartbeat. I love every part of it, man. I'm still inspired by the work I see from these young guys out there. Social media has kind of added another dimension to this for me. I love seeing what these guys are doing across the country, and I think it's a great industry. And absolutely, I'd do it again. I have no regrets.
It's not that I have regrets. I think that I've learned something. My $1 million question, would you do it again? I'm just shocked of what I found out about myself with what I'm doing now. With for the last company I worked for and Bona, to do all the training I've been doing, and even coaching kids, coaching Bum and the hockey kid, all through his school days and everything. I never knew that I would love teaching and coaching as much as I do. And really, you know what they say, when you love something and that's your job, that you never work a day in your life. And I feel like that a lot. And if you had told me when I was 18 years old, you're going to love teaching, I'd have laughed you out of the room. So I don't know if I would have, maybe I would have tried to be a teacher, but the great thing is I've always wanted to be a floor man all my life. And now to be able to do both, find another passion inside of a passion. So I consider myself extremely lucky Not sure if I would have gone the teaching route, but there was a good possibility now that what I know now. That, yeah, I definitely could. But to be able to teach something that you love is it's fantastic.
On paper, Rob Johnson doesn't work. Okay. But you got something that is I don't know how to put a finger on it, man, but you do it better than anybody I've ever seen it, Rob. You are as much as I tease you and what have you, you are a phenomenal teacher. I've watched you teach, and I know I can't do what you do. I as far as explain things in a room and captivate an audience in a classroom. You either got that or you don't. I'm okay, but you're damn good, man. I mean, I'll give it up to you right now.
Wow, this is a
You got a way about you that draws people in, and so whatever. Like I said, on paper it doesn't work, but but you're damn good at it, man. So
folks. That's what we call a slap and a kiss right there.
yeah.
On
All
paper,
right.
Rob Johnson doesn't work. I like that.
Rob Bouncer stories and Wayne best fishing techniques. Questions how to consistently sharpen scrapers. I won't get into fishing stories because I tell a lot of them, and I will sprinkle them in here throughout the show. Rob Bouncer stories. In the interest of time, we'll do the same thing, Rob. All right. We'll. But how about sharpen? Unless you got one right now, you want to tell?
But well, everybody knows the Mike Tyson story, and if Tyson's
Yeah.
listening, anytime you want to settle that score, you know my number, so give me a call.
There you go. I'm not taking odds on that. Sharpen scrapers. You know, one of the funny things is when I first started this trade, it was one of the most frustrating things for me as an apprentice to sharpen a scraper. My uncle would sharpen it for me. I go and I'd hook the corners and I go, yeah, it's beautiful. It'd get dull. I'd sharpen it and make it duller. He'd show me, he'd show me, and he'd sharpen it for me. And I go and I go, man, it's like, beautiful. It'd get dull. I would do the same thing and I would make it even duller. For whatever reason, man, it was hard for me to get that angle and put the hook in the scraper. And I don't know how we would teach that as a show. I don't know, but
All I can say is at the trainings, one of my favorite things to do when we get into the scraping, and last week we did a lot of scraping. One of the guys really messed up bad with the edger, and he's like, "We got to sand the whole thing over." And I said, "No, we're going to do a repair. We're going to do. I'll show you guys how to chase the grain." And man, they just eyes popped out of their head. We didn't have to resand anything, fix the whole thing. But one of the things that I love doing at the trainings is getting guys who have scraped floors before. And I'll get everybody in a circle and I go, and this is how you sharpen a scraper. And I have my way of sharpening a scraper. And then I said, and I can almost guarantee you that you will not see any floor man sharpen a scraper like another floor man. If you take 100 floor guys and ask them how to sharpen a scraper, you're going to find 100 different ways to get the. So just keep experimenting until you find your own way of how to sharpen a scraper.
that's funny you say that because it's like your mom's spaghetti, right? Everybody loves their mom's spaghetti. Everybody's mom makes the best spaghetti, but if you go to that guy's mom and eat spaghetti at their house, it sucks. It's not as good as your mom's because that's the way you did it. When I sharpen a scraper, I turn my left ankle on its side and I brace the scraper on my shoe and I do it that way. And I can't imagine doing it any other way, but I see guys, I've never seen anybody else do it that way.
I
So
hold
you're
it up here. I hold
ah,
it right up here. I brace it against this finger right here, perfect angle, and push as hard as I can and just 3 or 4. That's all it takes.
yeah,
It's
no.
there's just I don't know. I don't know if there's a perfect way to sharpen a scraper. I will say this: do not sharpen a scraper over a wood floor, a bare wood floor. The nightmares that I have seen with this Everybody talks about the rust spots. Well, if you haven't seen it, it's not a red rust spot that you'll get. It's a reaction, and the NWFA has done some articles about it and some pictures and everything. But man, some of these scraper filings will fall onto a wood floor, especially the white oak. And when you put water-based finish on that, there's like a three-way reaction between the tannin, the water, and the iron in the scraping. And within a week or two, all of a sudden you get these dark gray spots that start to appear. It almost looks like somebody ran a grinder and sparks hit the floor and kind of burned it, type of a thing. Crazy. One of the guys that I was dealing with, he had an inspector come in, and I mean, I always mentioned, hey, don't sharpen it on the floor, but it cost this guy 20 grand. So now I get really crazy about, hey, we learn a lot from everybody's mistakes in this business, and I couldn't have felt more worse for this guy. I mean, it was a huge hit, and it was a huge floor, lots of stairs, so there, sharpening scrapers everywhere, and it just turned into an absolute nightmare. So, yeah, definitely find out your way on how to sharpen the scraper. But, like Bum said to me one day, he goes, well, what do you want me to do? Run outside? I go, just carry a towel with you and scrape over the towel or a garbage can or something. But, man, whatever you do, don't scrape over these bare wood floors.
And I'm pretty sure more worse isn't proper English, but no.
What did I say?
I couldn't feel more worse for the guy. I don't think that's proper English.
Feel more worse. I couldn't feel worse for the guy. Let me try that again. I couldn't feel worse for the guy. I couldn't feel more
there you
worse.
Go. All right.
Yeah, you're right. More worse doesn't work.
Yep. I would like an episode. I would like an episode. Excuse me. This is from Elite Hardwood Floors. Eugene Lee from Pensacola, Florida.
Oh, my man, Eugene.
Are you talking about him?
Talk about it. Listen, it's amazing I get paid for what I do because we have so much damn fun at these schools. Okay. So, we take everybody, well, before COVID, we used to take everybody out. Once we can get back, we'll start taking everybody out. This year we can't take the classes out for dinner. Anyways, sometimes you just get sick of talking floors, and you're with a whole group of guys that you never met before. So, one of the things that I'll ask sometimes at the dinner is like, hey, what's your favorite movie? And then everybody will go around the table and, talk about their favorite movie. And you're like, oh, yeah, what. So kid who used to work for us, and man, I miss this kid. He was just a super kid in training, and broke my heart when he left. You remember Nico?
Yeah. Oh, good guy. Good guy.
Yeah, just right. Awesome kid.
Yeah.
Awesome kid. And it comes to Nico, and he says, oh, my favorite movie, hands down, Titanic. So, we all started laughing because we thought he was kidding, And so I said, no, really, what's your favorite? He goes, no, that's my favorite movie, Titanic. He goes, it had everything, a love story and action. And so the whole table is just kind of cracking up. And I'm not busting on anybody. If Titanic's your favorite movie, Titanic's your favorite movie, okay? It just struck me as funny that he would say Titanic is his favorite movie. Mm-hmm. So we're back in class the next day. And Nico gets up to do a presentation about something. And Eugene downloaded the Titanic theme song, right?
The
song, right?
Yeah.
And every time, whether he was presenting or doing a demo, whenever he would start talking, Eugene would play that song. And I'm telling you, that class had to go an extra 2 hours just because we were just laughing so hard. And Eugene was just nailing the timing just couldn't have been better. It was just
nice.
Everybody knows that song. You know what I mean? That Titanic lovey song.
That was
And every time Nico would get up there and Eugene would play that song, and oh my God, that class, that was a lot of laughs in that class. That was a fun one.
good stuff.
Yeah.
Eugene wants to know. I would like an episode on how to find good employees that don't mind working and learning the craft. It's so hard to keep younger helpers, even if you pay them, treat them well. I'm going to say something here. I think if I were going back to doing floors today, I think I would have to change. I think that I would have to change my attitude a little bit, because it was a lot different when we came up. It was a lot. I mean, the way that we were talked to, like when my father-in-law, when I worked for him as a carpenter apprentice, you would never, never, never talk to a guy like that today. You know what I mean? And I think that I
Hmm.
would have to look at myself, and I think I'd have to change. And I think that you have to treat these people more like, we were treated like almost like dogs, man. You know what I mean? We were treated like we were scoundrels or whatever until they thought we were good enough to even be, sit at the table. I think that's gone. I think you have to treat these guys as with a little bit more respect, maybe some more skin in the game, maybe show them and get them involved in it to where if it's just showing up every day and edging, I don't think that works anymore. I think you have to do that because that's the job. But I think along the way, I think you just have to make it a little bit somehow more interesting, more exciting for them. Um, I don't know. I think that's a big part of it. And I'd show them that there is a future in this industry. I talked about it, all the time. I mean, man, the opportunities for younger guys today. But if you're a younger guy today, learn as much as you can. We had Kirk Dozick on the other day. He talked about his son being in the game and how he says that guys are willing to help the younger guys today. We want this craft to go on, but learn the trade and just be aware it's hard work, but it's hard work that pays off. So I don't
Hmm.
know if that. But
Another place to look, like in our, uh, in my neck of the woods there, both my daughters went to community college and are extremely successful. My daughters, Emily and Rebecca,
yeah,
extremely successful with going to the 2 year college. Emily got the degree in x-ray technician, Rebecca, dental hygiene. Well, there's also a carpentry class there. Okay. And when I was in high school, I went to trade school, carpentry class. So I would say stop in, man. Go in and talk to an instructor. An instructor would just love for a guy to walk in and say, I need help. I need a carpenter. I just need somebody with a little bit of a wood background. I'm going to train them. Talk to the instructors at these trade schools, these junior colleges, these carpentry programs. Ask them to give you a couple of kids, or even, get in there and talk to some of these kids like, hey, this is a pretty cool field now. There's a lot of great things going on. You can make some great money and really feel good about a craft, and I would say that's definitely, I've given that advice to some other people. The company that I'm working with this week, the Miller Floor guys, he did that exact thing. He went and, he about 3, 4 years ago, we trained probably a dozen new kids right out of college, or actually, I think they were first year college kids for the help, and a bunch of them stuck. I mean, some of the guys we were working with today were part of that original class. And, the great part about going in and getting these kids is they don't have any real bad habits. They don't really have any work habits. So you can really mold them into your work habits. I mean, that was half of the reason my dad loved hiring my buddies and everything. He goes, they're just high school kids. They think they're supposed to work 70, 80 hours a week. So,
well,
I think there's a good opportunity with getting some kids that are in these trade schools and these junior college and carpentry programs and bringing them into the business.
So here's the thing though too, Rob. When I moved out of California and in my storage, I had all kinds of wood left over. Exotics, oak, nice white plank, all kinds of stuff that I wasn't gonna be able to take with me. And I went to a high school. I tried to find a shop to give it to donate it to the kids. And there was no shops. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
There's one challenge, but the other thing too is I think if you're starting out a new kid, a big pet peeve of me is this right here. Actually, it's my brother calling right now. Calling me right now. But these I think you have to sit the guy down and say, look, here's what my expectations of you are. Here's where in a year where I want you to be, and here's how we have to work towards to get to that. Like it's almost a team plan. You know what I mean? Like I have a future
Yeah.
for you. Here's what it is. But these damn phones, you got to leave these in the truck, man. You know what I mean? You're killing. I think you have to have that conversation too. So you got to meet me halfway. I'm going to teach you everything you need to know, but you have to know these are just not productive. So leave them in the car. We take a break at 10 o'clock, whatever. You want to get on there for 10 minutes, fine. But you got to meet the guy halfway. Okay. We might have an episode on that too. We talk about that a lot of times, so maybe we'll do that. Okay. So the Limitless Hardwood Floors doesn't say where he's from, but the name of their company is the Limitless Hardwood Floors. This is a good one to end on. What is the best method of coating with a tinted finish like Nordic seal, specifically at 7,000 feet elevation and less than 15% humidity? Nothing like a
All right.
challenge.
Here we go. That is
Okay.
tough floor. And we almost had those conditions pretty damn close. We had those conditions in school we did a couple weeks ago in Chicago. And I mean, it was dry. And those floors had been sitting in a dry warehouse for a year. So things were extremely dry. And the finish was definitely setting up quick. So one of the things was first off, you got to be moving. Okay. No radios, no talking, all hands on deck, total concentration. But I think what helped us the most was the prepping of the floor before we coated. Usually I take it to a 120, but because this one was so dry, we took it to a 150. We burnished it off to we used multi disc black 150 and really burnished that thing off. Then, of course, finished it off with a Tampico brush. We got it down and it looked great. We had to move though. I mean, don't get me wrong. There was no time to mess around, but also remember we were training guys too. So, there was a little bit of a time lapse there and we still got it down, but I think the thing that made us most successful was the slicking it off to a 150, burnishing to a 150. The other thing on a situation like that, and what we had done there was I didn't pull Nordic first. I had pulled the natural. Natural sealing, I think, is a little bit more forgiving. Then we went with Nordic over the top, and everything was great.
All right, Rob, I'm going to say something that's going to probably surprise you. So he says it's 7,000 square feet. You're not coating that by yourself. So I like what you said of prepping the floor and getting a really nice job on the sanding. Take it up to the multi-disc really high. Say there's two guys coating the floor. Forget the cutting guy. There is no cutting guy. Okay. Then if you're a guy that rolls, okay, let's roll the floor. Number one, instead of rolling like you taking a half the floor or you're taking, like, let's say the room is 12 by 12 and it's 7,000 square. I'm just going to do this for example because I realize for 7,000 square feet you're going to have big wide open rooms. But just for example's sake, let's say the floor is 12 by 12 foot, okay? And usually when you're rolling a floor, you'll take like the whole 12 feet by 3 feet, right? You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of doing that, instead of taking that whole room and that big section like that, take about 2 feet, the length of the room, okay? And the other guy's responsibility is only keeping that edge wet for me, okay? Do you see what I'm saying? So
Yes.
I'm taking 2 feet at a time. The next thing is make sure you're putting down enough product. Putting that, because that's going to dry quicker on you. You've got all the everything set up against you. So put it down heavy enough that you're going to get some open time. Have the one guy just keep with his roller. He's just keeping your edge wet. You can cut in for yourselves. There's very little cutting in anyhow with a roller. So I changed my application technique to now I'm taking like a 2-foot span by the length of the room. The other guy is keeping my edge wet. We are always pouring into the wet. We don't pour onto the floor. Everything you pour is onto the wet. Okay, so you're not going to have those errant areas that set up on you too quick. And Rob, I don't normally coat like this, but when I have a tough condition and it says the situation is set up that way, that's the way I'm going to coat the floor.
Mm-hmm. And
So,
you need to know these conditions too.
yeah.
You got to have the tools. You got to check the moisture content of the wood. You need to
That
know what the relative humidity is. So when you see low moisture content and really low relative humidity, you're going to know this is going to set up really quick. We have to be really on the game today. You don't want it to take you by surprise.
it's the same thing that we always say. For instance, with the stain, that can of stain is the same can it is in January as it is in August. It's the same can of stain in Hawaii as it is in Arizona. It's the conditions that change, and that's why this job is a skilled trade that you have to learn your environment and those type of things. But there's a lot goes into this. That's why this job is it can be difficult because every job is a different set of scenarios. The lighting is different. The layout is different. There's different challenges that you run into. But we'll end it on that one. We can't get to the rest of them. So if we didn't read yours, we apologize. We just went down the line and as they came in, and but we thank you for sending them in. Again, that
When
was
you
our
said when you said, "Oh, you know what we always say," I thought you were going to say that, you know, the rising boats have those great
oh,
tides.
no.
That's where I thought you were going with that one.
I've given up
The
on it
rising
altogether.
tides.
Raises all
The
the
rising
boats.
tide. Yeah. Yes. We get, hey,
Yeah,
101. We got it right. There you go. It took 2 of
got
us.
it in. Again, thanks for
Wayne, how many of these you think we got left in us? We can do another 100?
hell, I don't know. We'll see.
You know what? 101. This has been 2 years. We've been doing this for
Yeah,
2 years. That's
hard to believe.
crazy, huh? Yeah.
And we're doing them every week. And so it's a lot of episodes to get one every week still after all this time. So
I
we
do
got a
want to
lot
go
of
back to one. I want to go back to one question, or the $1 million question. If you could do it over, would you?
Yeah,
I thought for sure you saw yourself as an actor. Maybe that's what you should have been doing.
you better keep that
And
video to yourself.
maybe a TV series, or Fishing with Highlander.
No, if I had that kind of talent, maybe, but no. Nope. I'm right where I should be, Rob. So again, thanks for everybody listening. We appreciate it very much. We got some exciting stuff coming up for this year too, man. We got a lot of guests. We got some great minds in this industry that we're gonna pick their minds, and it's gonna be interesting to see which way it goes, Rob. So, want to thank our listeners again. This has been another episode of On the Floor with Wayne and Rob. Please stay tuned for another episode.